Hi Leo, this is your weekly tarot card reading from Born Without Boundaries Tarot and Astrology Update. My name is Michelle, and for those of you who are just finding me, I'm an astrologer and a tarot card reader. So you get a mixture of both here. This is for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. We'll start with a little bit of the astrology, and then we'll get into the tarot card reading. There's always an extended reading, and you can get that extended reading one of two ways now. Either the traditional way, the same way that it's always happened through the Vimeo Extended, or you can join the Unbound membership. I offer memberships to my channel now, and the Unbound membership includes full access, unlimited access to all of the extended readings universally for the length of your membership. It also includes members only chats with me where I'll pick cards for you. I'll help you figure out your natal chart. We'll talk astrology. There's a lot of wonderful things that happen in those more private groups, as well as other perks that come along with all the other levels. So check it out. Check that link below or go to my main page and hit the join tab. So Leo, it's an interesting position. Like there's no planets in your first house, but there are planets in your seventh house. So let's talk about that, right? It's your descendant energy, which is Aquarius energy. There is Saturn and Mercury. So for the past, this isn't anything new, but for the past couple of months, things have probably been really irritating you because people have been very strict when it comes to things that you say. And you'll find that a lot of people have been either misquoting you or misinterpreting what the hell you're saying. And it's almost like, why don't people get me? Because it's almost like they're holding me up to these high standards and using my words to kind of like hold me up to these high standards and watching what I say, scrutinizing what I say, being really strict about what I say and what they think I think. And so if you've been kind of irritated and agitated with that and it's been growing, that's the reason. And that's definitely the challenge that is coming out of your seventh house. When it comes to your sixth house, we have Pluto literally smack dab in the middle of Venus and Mars. They're all conjunct together. So there's going to be a lot of switches and changes to how you're valued and what you value and how people value you and what you expect to be treated like and how you expect to be valued, as well as people valuing like the value people see in you. So you'll start to see that there are huge shifts in the people who follow you, the people who like you, and the people who don't. You'll start to see big waves coming, for better and for worse. Some people finding you, getting you, realizing you, and some people not valuing you at all. It's just shifts. It's more about them than it is about you. But it's just major shifts in this energy. But since it's happening in your sixth house, it has a lot to do with what's healthier for you. So who do you have to cut off? What do you have to cut off? Have you been valuing yourself? Have you been eating right? Have you been eating healthy? Have you been doing the right amount of activity? All of those things are stuff you're going to start to switch and change, and they're going to be intensified right now. So you can see if there's some difficulties or there has been some challenges in those areas, and you'll be motivated to change. And then we have in your eighth house, which is the house of isolation. It's the house of extremes. It's a house of the scorpionic energy of intensity, darker emotions, drugs, alcohol, indulgences, intensity, but also, things that you'd rather keep private or keep to yourself. And that's Pisces, and it's where everything is going down. We have Jupiter and the Sun that are trying to Lilith. So ultimately, there's going to be a lot of illumination about those aspects of yourself that have been hurting you or harming you, or that you've been doing to yourself and that have been helping keep you down, right? And then we have Neptune there as well, and we have the new moon there as well, giving us a chance to expand beyond our wildest dreams and welcome in something completely and totally new once we see what our blocks have been and we tackle them. So a lot of shit, right? Yes, Leo, let's get into your oracle card reading. Leo. It could even be, since I wanted to say this because everything is happening for you in Pisces. It could even be, Leo, that you have been increasing things that you have been indulging in, or you may have intensified the extremes that you're going to, but that's really egged on by that Lilith energy. And it could be coming from the crowd, your home, trying to fit in with people. It's kind of egging you on to extremes right now, and you should be very wary of that. You might try things that you wouldn't normally try. You might do things that you wouldn't normally do. But because it's happening in your 8th house, I can't say that it's going to open you up or really be wonderful the way it is for some other signs. It could actually become very toxic, and it could be a doorway into behaviors that you would really rather not have let into your life. So just be very careful with what you allow people to convince you into or tempt you into, or the extremes you're willing to go to, to not say no to something. Let's put it that way. So just be very wary of that, or to create the illusion around you, or to maintain that illusion around you of what you want to appear as. So FYI, just watch out for excessive drug use, and watch out for excessive drinking, especially with all this happening in Pisces. Any kind of excessive eating, any kind of thing that is all about indulgence or addictive, I would be just pre-warned about right now. It's very intense, and it'll be intense throughout March into April. We have freedom is yours, Leo, and then nothing is wasted. And there you go. It's a little bit skewed. So ultimately there's a sense of really wanting to defy and get out of this essence of what everybody else is wanting or expecting of you. And that's what could be the impetus for, or the catalyst for, doing things that defy what people would expect of you. And that's kind of like acting out, like a rebellious teenager, if you will. Right? I'm going to do it just because you told me not to, because I'm sick of having to listen. But is what they're telling you for your own good, right? So ultimately, don't forget what's for your own good just because you're inclined to try to piss people off right now. FYI. And then we have co-create with spirit. So this is actually a very powerful time to be able to manifest with something if you can stay focused. But I'm getting the crow energy of watch out. There's a warning here. A crow is showing up in your reading to say that you've been warned about this before. You've been warned about this. It's a sense of be careful here. You're treading in some dark territory. And then we have lay a solid foundation, especially when it comes to your 6th house, which we went over, that Capricornian energy, the 6th house with the Pluto, Venus, Mars. It's like you could switch stuff up and how you allow yourself to be valued, or like intensify things, or doing things to this extreme extent that could somehow compromise your health and your well-being. So be careful about that, please. Check up on that. Check up on whether or not things that you've been letting in your system, even prescribed medications, because Neptune can really rule that as well. Check to see if you've been going a little bit excessive, or depending upon it a little bit too much, or if you really need to take all the medicines that have been prescribed to you. It's a good time to check in on all of those things and to detox if needed. And you'll be able to gain clarity on, you know what, maybe this isn't as healthy for me as I thought it was. And then we have Scarab Beetle spirit. Magic works through you. This is Cancerian energy. It's transcendent. It's down with the old ways, in with the new ways. It's sort of that bridge between. It's almost like you're on the bridge right now, and you could go either way. You could go into the light, or you could fall into the darkness. Which is it going to be? Like I said, I don't think the darkness for you is going to lead to illumination. It could lead to horrendous distraction, since it's happening in your 8th house. So that's something that you might want to be wary of. Leo. This could also, however, speak to something that you have worked on and you have created. So ultimately realize, like, you've worked really hard on something, right? To build something and make a success out of something, but it's based on you and how healthy you are. And you could easily bring down all the things that you fucking worked for by making mistakes that intoxicate you or make you unhealthy. So just FYI. We have 10 to the small things. This is 100% what I was talking about. Mice represent disease. They represent infestation. They represent the things that were small. Oh, I'll only do a little. Or, oh, I don't need to like clean the house right now. But they build up. Where you see one mouse scurrying across your pantry, there's actually 100 in the wall. So ultimately now the infestation is starting to show itself. And it's something that you definitely have to address. Tend to these small things and then learn to catch it when it's small. Don't ignore it. And then we have, it could even be that there have been petty people around you, right? That you're letting petty people build up around you. You're letting yourself be convinced to do petty things. You're just being led too easily right now by people who aren't as grand as you, but they're kind of crowding you. So ultimately there's a pressure in number, which is coming from that 7th house, right? Because that's what it is. It's like they don't have the strength of self, but they have the strength of the crowd. And who's more powerful, the king or the crowd? Well, it depends, doesn't it, right? And really a healthy environment is based on the balance between the two, you know, a benevolent leader and a crowd that takes responsibility for its community and its individuality as well. So ultimately there's a sense of you may have been being led too much by the crowd and not really asserting yourself enough in your current situations. Parrot spirit, watch your words. I don't pull these cards for nothing, man. I talked about that in the astrology, right? With people, be very careful about what you're saying because petty people are fucking listening to what you're saying and they're going to misquote you. And they're going to try to get at you with what you said, or they're going to take things the wrong way because they don't have the ability to understand where you're coming from, or they don't have the experience with you to know where you're coming from. This is like toxic Gemini energy, right? This manipulative energy of, I'm going to repeat after you. I'm repeating after you. I'm like I don't have my own mind. These are petty people who don't have their own mind and they've just been repeating after you. And ultimately that doesn't make them real friends. It just means you're surrounding yourself with people who fucking mimic you and agree with you way too fucking much. And then we have antelope spirit. Life is speeding up. This is transcendent Gemini energy. It's moving on and moving forward, and life is speeding up. So it might be a good time to clear out your crowd and make sure that the people who are in your circle actually deserve to be there. Check your friends and see what friends, because you're now pulling, your momentum is going to take some petty ass people for a ride with you. And are they actually holding up their worth and their value in your life? It's like you're getting a lot of people, you know, everybody wants to be your friend, but how many people actually are your friend? They, you know, what the fuck are they doing for you? That kind of energy. You could be just kind of be like almost like toxic social. But also a sense of your words are going to spread fast. It's almost going to be like wildfire, like the shit blows up over the internet or something like that, oh, he said this or he said, she said that, and it just goes like crazy. So, you know, watch your words and be very particular, not about oppressing other people, but do I actually mean this? Maybe I was just joking, but people are going to take this seriously. Like, how can I do better when it comes to how I communicate? You know, the perspective that I'm actually coming from. How can I match my words to my sincere self instead of getting caught up in exhibitionism, right? And then we have wolf spirit. Turn knowledge into wisdom. And this is that Piscean energy of real understanding, higher understanding, developed understanding, of a perspective that is larger than. Like it's not petty at all. It's spiritually connected. There's also a sense of realizing maybe you have a lot of information, but are you using it in a responsible way, right? It's like, yeah, you know all of this, but what are you doing with it that's actually any good? That's a difference between like knowledge and wisdom, right? Knowledge is just the accumulation of information. Wisdom is knowing what to do with it and knowing when to do nothing with it, right? That's kind of like what this whole context or this whole circumstance in your life right now is trying to teach you the difference between. Okay, so let's get into these cards. Ooh, Leo. Okay, and the story thickens. Oh, God, people are going to probably complain about my shirt. You can't win sometimes. We have solar plexus. Oh. In reverse, this is almost like maybe you've been feeling a little weak, or you've been feeling tired. You've been feeling like you don't have a lot of energy. It's not like you can't make energy, but it's like you can't use it. You can't get it out. Solitude, and that's maybe why you've been wanting to be by yourself a lot. And just, it's saying you should have been giving yourself some more time. Like, take the crowd away from you. Don't be crowded. Happy birthday, Doug Denny. Don't like, but this is the past, this is a sense of, you needed solitude. I question whether or not you gave it to yourself, or it's almost like start to look into things, start to research. Why do I feel this way? Like, give yourself the time you need to think. If you've been overworking yourself, that was not a really good thing for you. And then we have financial and material changes right here. And so this could go either way. It could change for the better. It could change for the worse. But understand that those changes are in the midst of a lot of fucking toxic people riding your tail. And ultimately, they're going to bail ship. So I'm going to say this right. If your finances are changing for the worse, it's because God's protecting you and trying to push all the rats out of your life, because they'll bail ship. Rats will immediately leave when things aren't easy straight for them, okay? But if your money has been increasing, and which it very well could have, if your money has been increasing and there's been a significant change, well, wow, there's a lot of people that are now hanging around you that didn't used to hang around you. And ultimately, you got to know that most of those motherfucking people are rats. Most of those people are not ride or die or what you really want them to be. You're attracting a lot of minuscule petty motherfuckers. So this might be a real good time to clean ship by refocusing on the people who are ride or die, who really support you, who really care about you. Because in those times of grandiosity and happiness, a lot of motherfuckers crawl out of the goddamn woodwork. Right? But ultimately understand that most of them are petty motherfuckers that will be out the door and talk shit about you as soon as stuff doesn't work anymore. Yep. Leo. We have unfinished symphony. Are you been leaving a lot of things undone, uncompleted? Maybe because you don't have energy, or because you've been getting distracted by a bunch of petty shit. And so the larger things haven't been done, things that are more important. Or just a sense of, it's like you lack harmony. Not that you're off tune, but that you're not really getting anybody to harmonize with you, something like that. I think it's more that there are things, this is a sign, right? What is being left undone? You got to start taking stock in that, because it's kind of like inventory time is what I want to say. Also, it's time to take stock in, if you've always wanted to do things, right? You've always wanted to, you've always had an interest in doing something, and you start it, but you didn't finish it. This is a time to actually go back and fulfill it and complete it. Commit yourself to the completion of it. take time to breathe out. And this is in reverse, which means even when you really needed alone time, the moon is telling you you didn't give it to yourself. And for whatever reason, I don't know, but you didn't give it to yourself. And that's going to put you in a more vulnerable spot, Leo, simply because you're rising high and you're moving fast, but you're not strong. You're not as strong as you could be. And I think that this, because a lot of stuff is happening in your 6th house, I think a lot of this has to do with stuff that's been building up for a while, physically, with your day-to-day routine. Like, it's good to eat a salad 1 day a week, but what about 5 days a week? You know, do you have an actual apple every day, or do you just like go on a binge of healthy food for 5 days and then fall off and junk food? Or how much have you been eating the stuff that's crap for you? How much have you been drinking? Like, if you've been starting to do that every day, you might need to take stock in the fact that that's what you've been doing, and now it's accumulated to the point where it is becoming toxic and starting to decrease the energy that you have, which would be demonstrated by, I don't feel as energetic as I used to. That's because the toxins are starting to build up, and you're really going to have, you know, you're looking at bigger problems. Emotions are running high. So this would be a very sensitive topic for you. It would be. Maybe it impacts a part of your life that you're saying. Maybe it impacts your career, right? Maybe it impacts how you make money. Maybe it impacts your relationship. So it's going to be very emotional, or you've been doing this because you've been trying to mute emotions or avoid emotions, but those emotions are building up toxins in you too. So it's ultimately time to really nip this in the fucking ass. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm going to go to tarot and dig deeper. Come with me. The links are below. I'll see you guys there.